This is a donut. It is very sweet and very good. But if you'd never tasted a donut, you wouldn't really know how sweet and how good a donut is if you'd never had that experience. Transcendental meditation is like that. Transcendental meditation gives an experience much sweeter than the sweetness of this donut. It gives the experience of the sweetest nectar of life, pure bliss consciousness. As Maharishi says, those who don't know, they don't know. Those who know, they enjoy. I hope this following documentary gives you some good news about the sweetness of life.
Donc, on tourne en fait là, hein, donc tout va bien. So, David, the Maharishi teaching in your life.
Are we rolling?
We are rolling.
Oh, okay.
The Maharishi teaching in your life, how did it all start? Can you tell us the story?
Yes.
It's kind of fun, yeah. So, just like to see that, be fabulous.
This got
Like a felt tip. Would you like a felt tip?
I am interested in hearing your opinion about the presentation of woman and motherhood in your film. Can you explain?
No. I don't think about women and motherhood. I get these ideas, and maybe later I say, oh, there's a woman here, and this woman is a mother. The idea comes first. It's not like you said, I don't set out on a theme. I don't set out to show something. I'm surprised as anybody when the idea pops in.
When you settle down your mind and consent, where goes emotion, what happens to emotions, and are they beneficial in this?
Yeah, when you transcend, you go beyond thought. You just experience pure consciousness. It's like silence, but lively silence. It's like dynamic. And when you come out of there, the dive in is like that, but when you come out, the splash of that diving in is bliss. Bliss. Bliss is also intelligence. Bliss is love. Bliss is energy. Because it's one thing, but you feel it as intense happiness. And your mind can sing with bliss. So it's two things. It's emotion and intellect, just sort of singing in bliss. And all these emotions that are positive in life just get more intense. But negative emotions, like sorrow, for instance, everybody knows some people that are just sad and they hold on to sorrow. Let them start diving within and experience the big ocean of bliss, happiness, and that sorrow will lift away.
Could you just describe, in whichever way you like, your creative process?
Yeah. Ideas. We're nothing without an idea. So I say that a desire for an idea is like a bait on a hook. And you're desiring an idea, and you have to have patience, just like you do in fishing. How deep that hook goes depends on the size of that ball of consciousness. And desire, another word for it, is like focus. Just focus on some, and it's a little bit like daydreaming. Thoughts come and thoughts come and thoughts come, and maybe, boom, an idea comes that is so thrilling. You've caught a little purple fish with red fins and little dancing speckled eyes. And this little fish could be just a fragment of the final film, but you love this fragment. You love this fish. And that idea, you write it down so you won't forget it. Then, now that you have that fish, even more powerful bait, and soon others will swim in and join to it. And a thing will start emerging called a script. And it goes like that, for me anyway, fragments. But it's all ideas coming, ideas that I fall in love with. And I'm going to fall in love with different ideas than you will, but there's billions, trillions of ideas coming. Ideas for everything. So that's how it goes. Then you get the ideas organized in a script, and then you translate those ideas to cinema. And along the way, you stay open, because a thing isn't finished till it's finished. There can be happy accidents. You say, how did I get so lucky to get this thing? I thought this was complete, but this is beyond the beyond fitting in here and jumping it. Stay on your toes. And don't walk away from any element until it feels correct, because it's built out of many, many, many elements. Stay true to the idea all along the road, and then you have some hope of the whole working.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What is your feeling between the awake dreams and the sleeping dreams?
The one that's awake, you're awake, and the one that you're sleeping, you're sleeping.
So, yesterday you said in our news that you want to create invisible university here. What does that mean, actually?
I'll tell you, invincible, in this case, has nothing to do with military. Zero. It's invincible, another word you could say dynamic peace. A kind of a peace that means no harm can come from within Estonia, and nothing bad, nothing negative can come from without to harm Estonia.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Now, will you help support this university for Estonia?
Yeah, I think.
Put her there. That would be so beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank
we'll
you.
do it. Okay. This here represents the surface of life. Surface. And we see surfaces, surfaces. And about 300 years ago, scientists, they started wondering what was this wood and what was this metal and what was it really? So they start looking into matter. So this side is matter, and this side is mind. Mind and matter. And the scientists, well, they discovered molecules. Deeper they went, and they discovered these atoms. And like I say, they thought that was the smallest particle for a long time. All these things we learn about in school. They went deeper, and they find inside the atoms these little electrons and neutrons and protons. And they went deeper and deeper and deeper, smaller and smaller particles, smaller and smaller particles. They found 4 forces. On a deeper level, the 4 became 3. And on a deeper level, the 3 became 2. And then, about 30 years ago, modern science, quantum physics, discovered the unified field. The unity of all the particles and all the forces of matter, of creation. Not only did they discover the unified field, but they found that everything that is a thing emerges from this field of no thing. Unmanifest it is. Unmanifest. It is no hyphen thing, but all things come from it. Anything that is a thing has emerged from this field of unity. It's oneness. The scientists know this exists, but if they wanted to get there, you can't get there. It's unmanifest. You can't walk into this field. But any one of those scientists could practice a technique, transcendental meditation, which, remember, true happiness is not out there. You're given a mantra, a very specific sound, vibration, thought. Very specific. It needs to be life-supporting at all deeper levels. And that mantra that you're given, that Maharishi gives, the key that opens the door. The mantra turns the mind within. turns the awareness within, and you naturally dive. Why is it natural? Because each deeper level of mind and each deeper level of intellect has more happiness. And the deeper levels of mind and deeper levels of intellect correspond to deeper levels of matter. At the borderline of intellect, you transcend. Transcend is the key word. It means to go beyond. You're going beyond field of relativity, duality, experiencing oneness. Pure, unbounded, infinite consciousness. Thank you very much. This young lady, like many women, would love to work with me. That's a very great question. Very great question. The analogy for that is they say negativity is just like darkness. And so you look at darkness and you say, wait a minute, darkness isn't really anything. It's the absence of something. So it doesn't matter how dark the night has been, when the sun comes up, automatically, without trying, the sunlight removes the darkness. Sunlight doesn't remove negativity, but this light of unity removes negativity just like sunlight removes darkness. Negativity is just the absence of that all-powerful bliss and all-powerful love, all-powerful energy, dynamic peace, harmony, coherence. You enliven that, and negativity lifts away. It can't live in that light.
Will we ever get to meet Ronnie Rocket?
Ronnie Rocket is a script I wrote after Eraserhead. I really tried to get that thing going. You know, Eraserhead was not setting the world on fire in terms of money. So, but I did get one meeting from a studio. A guy invited me in after he saw, or he didn't see Eraserhead, he heard about it. And he invited me into his office. And he said, what else you got? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you got anything you want to do? And I said, yeah, I want to make this film called Ronnie Rocket. He said, what's it about? I said, it's about a 3-foot-tall man with, you know, a red pompadour, fake red pompadour, who runs on alternating current electricity. And he's asked me to leave his office.
Do you think everyone here is an artist?
Everyone is an artist in their own way. I say, you know, if you were a toilet cleaner, cleaning latrines, that could be a horrible job, drudgery, a nightmare. But you start building up this inner happiness, creativity, intelligence, and you're suddenly going to work in the most worst conditions, and you start seeing it differently. And you start getting into cleaning. And maybe you get your boss to get some disinfectants, or maybe you invent a new brush or a new vacuum. And pretty soon you're kind of enthusiastic about it. and you're cleaning toilets faster and more shiny they are. And it's really going good, and you're finding happiness in your work, and your boss takes notice. The boss takes notice and comes to you and gives you a raise. And not only that, he invites you home to dinner. It goes like that. Everyone has creativity. You can just get more and more and more of it. Everyone knows about catching ideas. You could just catch more. And everyone knows about stress. Everyone can see that stress lifting. Everyone knows of some kind of suffering, and they can see that suffering start to go or become less and less and less.
I would like to ask you about your failures.
About failures.
Yes.
Failures are so incredible. A failure is a big, big sadness and a horror, but there's nowhere to go but up. So it's a freedom as a result of a failure, a huge euphoric freedom. There's no way you can lose more. You just can gain. A success is so beautiful. But then, oh my goodness, what if I fall? The next thing better be very, very special, or the whole thing's going to crumble. You get tense. You start worrying. A success can be a nightmare. Both things have the good and the bad.
What is, according to your opinion, the role of the artist or the filmmaker in this world?
In my mind, have the great privilege and euphoria of translating ideas, and ideas that can create a world that people can go into and have an experience. Here's a theater, and you're going along in your world, and you stop in, and you sit, and the screen is giant, and the sound is good, but the lights are on now, and people are still seating. And then suddenly the lights dim, and the curtain opens, and the thing begins, and we can go into another world and only exist there because of that film. It's a magical, beautiful thing. Take people into another world and give them experiences. Take yourself into that other world and give yourself an experience. It's a magical medium. That's the role, to make new worlds.
Could you kindly reveal how did you create the baby picture in Eraser?
You must know I never talk about the baby. This consciousness has qualities, infinite creativity, intelligence, energy, love, power, and bliss. Dynamic peace. Always been there, never had a beginning, it is and it will be forever. Unbounded, infinite, eternal, immutable, immortal consciousness, fullness. Any human being can experience this easily and effortlessly with Transcendental Meditation. Transcendental Meditation is just a vehicle to get you here. When you experience this level, you enliven it, and it grows in the individual. So if you started with a ball of consciousness this big, everyone has consciousness. Consciousness is the way to understand consciousness. If you took it away, you'd see what it really is. If there wasn't any consciousness, we wouldn't exist. And if we did exist, we wouldn't know it. It's the I amness of life. It is life itself.
the audience why you are here.
I'm visiting here to establish Invincible Finland University. I'm also here to talk about film, watching, creativity, meditation, and peace.
What do the works of Franz Kafka mean to you?
Franz Kafka.
Yes.
I love Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. That piece of writing does something to me. And I love the character, Gregor Samsa. I love what he seemed to be going through. I love the kind of humor and absurdity and yet big truths swimming through it and the way the story is told. I love it. It thrills me. Yes, I did have a repeating dream. Pardon?
But you would like to tell us about it.
You have to come close to me. Okay, now you stand, right there. Okay, I had this repeating dream, and I'm in the desert, and the desert is completely empty and flat. And way in the distance, I see my father start walking toward me, and there's the heat waves. And I know that I have a good father and a bad father, and I don't know which one this is. And he's walking closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden, that was my good father.
O sofrimento afeta a criação de modo negativo. Como o senhor explicaria que artistas como Van Gogh e Artaud, por exemplo, produziram uma obra tão genial tendo sofrido tanto? Se eles meditassem, isso poderia desequilibrar a genialidade de suas obras?
This is a very beautiful, important question. And this is part of the myth, I think. Van Gogh did suffer. He suffered a lot. But I think he didn't suffer while he was painting. He went out to paint because he loved to paint. And it might have been one of the happiest, only happy times in his life when he was painting. It was so thrilling for him to be painting. But he didn't need to be suffering to do those great paintings. And I know Van Gogh would have been happier if he'd been able to transcend, dive within. And I know his work would have been as good, better, or even better than good. It stands to reason. The more you suffer, the less you want to create. If you're truly depressed, they say you can't even get out of bed, let alone create. If you're truly angry, occupies the whole brain, poisons the artist, poisons the environment, little room for creativity. And I use this example. If you have a splitting headache, and you have nausea, you're vomiting, and you have diarrhea on top of that, how much work are you going to be doing, and how much are you going to enjoy it? Give the person a technique to lift that sickness, lift that negativity, and enjoy life. tied to consciousness is all this. Creativity, intelligence, energy, love, power, bliss, dynamic peace, all positive. Light of unity, all positive. You experience this level and you enliven it, and this ball of consciousness that you thought was just going to stay the same for the rest of your life starts expanding, and these qualities expand. So day by day, you're growing creativity, intelligence, love, energy, and this ball of consciousness is now expanding, and you're owning unconscious or subconscious more and more and more. Side effect of the growth of this consciousness is negativity starts to recede, tension, I write all these things, stress, anxiety, sorrow, depression, anger, hate, fear, all starts to go. Can't live in the light of this. In schools, when there's stressed anxiety, horror stories, depression, so many people on pharmaceutical drugs, suicides, shootings, stabbings, you give a student this technique. It's easy to do. It's not concentration. It's not contemplation. Concentration, contemplation keep you right on the surface. You're not transcending. It's this field that does everything for the human being. This field. And you experience this field when you really get there and transcend. This is transcendental consciousness. It's, there's so many names for this field. The Tao, Kingdom of Heaven, all these names for this one field, the absolute, totality. In Vedic language, this field is called Atma. A-T-M-A, means the self, with a capital S. Know thyself. Get there. Know it by being it. Unfold it. And what you're doing is unfolding your full potential as a human being. Your full potential of the beautiful human being is called enlightenment. And people can unfold their enlightenment. Yes.
I heard what you told us about meditation. I believe all of it. I have a question. What do you think? Can the religion be fully a substitute of meditation with all the effects you told us?
Can religion be the same thing as meditation? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, not the same.
A substitute?
To have the same effects, not from the meditation, but from the religion. Can it be possible?
That's a tricky question. I think all the great religions had in the beginning keys to unfold, enlightenment, to unfold a spiritual enlightenment, God realization. I think in time, things drift, and in time, keys get lost. It's totally possible to find something in the scriptures, these truths. So many scriptures are written in codes, and it's hard to find the thing. It's real hard to find the thing that opens that door to the transcendent. Prayer, they say prayer on the surface of life is like sending a letter with no stamp and no address. The deeper you can pray, the more power it has. And the deepness of a prayer depends on that ball of consciousness. If you have a ball of consciousness here, you can pray this deep. If you open that up, you can pray or desire this deep. You open it up more, you can pray at a deeper level. And they say on the deepest level, your prayer will be answered before you even get it out of your mouth. It's a tricky thing, but all the great religions, I think, have as their goal God realization. God realization. Total spiritual fulfillment, liberation, salvation. And I think all the great religions flow to the one ocean. And that one ocean is totality. Totality is consciousness. There is nothing else but consciousness. And that consciousness, you could say, is the light of God, is divine being. All of creation, they say, comes from this ocean of consciousness, unbounded, infinite, eternal, immortal, immutable consciousness. How does something come out of unmanifest consciousness? Quantum physics says it comes out in a process called spontaneous sequential symmetry breaking, whatever that means. But there's Vedic, science of consciousness, many steps. How unmanifest pure consciousness manifests everything that is a thing. And any human being with this technique can open the door to that unbounded, infinite, divine being, light of God, pure consciousness, creative intelligence, the absolute, totality, self, and expand that. So there's no problem with any religions. People from all religions practice this technique, and because understanding grows, they understand their religion more. And because appreciation grows, they appreciate their religion more. And another thing, when that ball of consciousness gets bigger and bigger and bigger, they say that if you're reading the Bible, the code under incandescent light looks just like a code. But under more and more of that light of unity, that spiritual light, boom, the meaning leaps off the page. Strange thing. You're unfolding infinite intelligence, infinite understanding. The whole thing comes clear one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that you don't like to go into, analysing your movies, and you want to, as has been said, leave that to the viewer to take from it what they will.
Right.
Is that in any way influential to something which I see has been quite central to both Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire, which is a statement, actions have consequences?
Sure. But it's not a message thing in there, but there are, when you make an action, there's consequences. Everybody knows that. And so they say what you sow is what you reap. If you plant wheat, you may wish corn was coming up, but wheat is going to come up. The question is, when is it going to come up? And that's a thing like with O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson walked out, free. Everybody knows he did that thing. He said he was going, yeah, we're going to keep it quiet. And so when is it going to come back and bite him? And everybody says, well, it must not be what you sow is what you reap. O.J. Simpson walked out, but it will come back and bite him.
How would that make a difference between real experiences and imaginary ones in meditation?
That's a good question. It's like you could sit like the thirsty man. You can sit with your empty glass and imagine water, and it will not quench your thirst. You can sit and wish for water, but it won't fill that glass up. But if you dip that glass in the cool water of the well and bring it up and drink it, it will quench your thirst. There's no denying this experience of transcending.
And man, you are not angry anymore?
No, I told you, that anger lifted away without trying. Poison to the artist, poison to the environment, poison to the human being, lifts away without trying. But it's not that you become numb and sleepy and don't want to work. You get more energy, more enjoyment of the doing. And negativity lifting means that conduit of the flow of ideas, the flow of creativity, is not cramped by that. Negativity restricts that flow. So, and you can still have righteous anger, being very strongly for something or against something, beautiful. But the kind of anger that is just bitter, just like selfish kind of anger, no one wants to be around this kind of person, and the person's poisoning himself. The person can't work so good. That's mind control. Negativity is really mind control. Depression controls the mind now. Can't work. Anger controls the mind. You can't work. Sorrow. Some people hold sorrow for years. And you want to visit them and cheer them up, but it doesn't do anything. You get them the chance to transcend and watch what happens. Sorrow will lift away. They'll be back on the road. Influence my movies, but I love, as I say, dream logic. Dream logic is so beautiful. I like daydreaming, and I love what cinema can do with abstractions. Dreams are very abstract, and this dream logic is something that cinema can say. Cinema being sound and picture flowing together in time. Such a beautiful language. It can say concrete things, and it can say many, many beautiful abstractions that can only be said through cinema. Things that conjure a thing in a person that is only conjured from this beautiful language.
How did the monkeys become human?
How did the monkeys become human?
Yeah.
This is what I've heard. They graduate.
What would you say the meaning of life is?
The meaning of life. So cool. The meaning of life is totality. Everything. More than the most. Smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest. Totality. The human being is an exquisite being, and we have a potential, and that potential is called enlightenment, fulfillment, total fulfillment, liberation, salvation, and it's huge. Supreme enlightenment. That's the meaning of life. The meaning. Know it by being it.
My name is Samir. I'm a film student. Today was my first day.
Exactly. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, that's what I want. Maybe you can give me a good tip, good advice. Someone just started.
Yeah, I'll tell you this real good advice. Be true to yourself. Have your own voice ring out. Other things can inspire you, but find your own voice. Be true to that voice. Don't let anybody fiddle with it. Never turn down a good idea, but never take a bad idea. And be true to the ideas all the way along, every element. You'll just, and then start your transcendental meditation.
I've just read the
the little leaflet that has been given around, and it says that you've just returned from a 5-day visit to Israel.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, and I don't want to be a damper on things, but I'm appalled. I mean, it's like, I mean, Israel, David, at this point in time, how could you possibly, and what do you have to say about, I mean, how can Palestinians possibly get anything from the meditation? And what did you do there? And what do you feel about the situation there? To be a guest of the apartheid state of Israel.
I feel real good about it. Had a great time in Israel, went to Jerusalem, Haifa, and Tel Aviv. Met about 3,500 film students. Met the president of Israel, the mayor of Haifa, and a lot of really great people. Transcendental meditation is for human beings. Doesn't matter where you live. It's for human beings.
Hello, sir. While I was watching Inland Empire, at the beginning I felt that I was struggling to understand the movie.
Yeah, a common occurrence.
And then I felt that it was because I was trying to make it understandable for my conscient part of the brain. And then I thought, well, I'll quit that, and I'll just let it through into my unconscious part of the brain. And suddenly it all makes sense. It was like a passive way of watching cinema, instead of an active trying to understand with the rational.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So beautiful.
What do you have to say about that?
Okay.
Are you making movies for the unconscious from now on?
No, if it's unconscious, you don't know it. And so, you know, that's where meditation comes in. Because we're all on the surface of life, and we all have consciousness, but we don't all have the same amount of consciousness. The potential for the human being is infinite consciousness, enlightenment. If you take this mental technique, you get a mantra. Maharishi's mantra turns the awareness within, and you naturally dive through subtler levels of mind, intellect, and you reach the border of intellect, and you transcend, and you experience the unbounded, infinite, eternal ocean of consciousness. When you transcend, boom, you're there. It's a field of infinite happiness, bliss they call it, infinite intelligence, infinite creativity, infinite love, infinite energy. You experience this, and the experiencing of it enlivens it. You infuse it. And whatever ball of consciousness you had at the beginning starts to expand. And all those positive qualities start to expand. And when consciousness expands, you're literally making the unconscious conscious. Now, when thoughts come up, you can catch them at a deeper level. Expand the consciousness, catch thoughts, ideas at a deeper level. Huge thing for the artist. Ocean of all knowingness. You infuse that. Intuition grows. What was happening to you, and I think, in the thing, is that you just started feel thinking, not intellectualizing, but intuiting a thing. So the experience comes, you don't get, the intellect will take you only so far. You were intuiting. Now, for the artist, intuition is the #1 tool. If it was just intellectual, you could get it in a book. But intuition is a thing. It's more than emotion. It's more than just a gut thing. It's a kind of knowing. Knowing when something isn't correct, knowing how to make it correct, taking in information and knowing what it is. So beautiful.
You practice transcendental meditation,
right?
And you're a proponent, you support that. Do you think that other forms of meditation are just as valid as well to anybody who's interested in meditation, that just meditating is in itself the most important thing rather than what type of meditation it is?
I'd like to say they're all the same and anyone is fine, but I don't believe that. There's The key to me is transcend. Transcend. Experience the deepest level of life. All forms of legitimate meditation have as their goal enlightenment. Like they say, all roads lead to Rome, but some are dirt roads, some are two-lane highways, some are stone roads, and there may be a superhighway to Rome. The thing is, it's not transcendental meditation, it's this field that does everything. But transcendental meditation from the first meditation will get you to this field. Now, there's brain research. And this is what's going to separate, the different forms, because you can hook yourself up to an EEG machine, start your practice, and see what it does to the brain. Because the only experience in life that lights up the full brain is truly transcending. If you meditate in a form of concentration, that part of the brain will be lively and bright and fine, but no transcending. Maharishi gives entry to the transcendent easily, effortlessly. It's not a trying meditation. You will transcend your first meditation and everyone after that. It's a miracle. It's a blessing.
You started 34 years ago to go deeper and deeper into that spiritual journey, but it's lately only that you decided to go public about it more and more. What was the ignition point, or in your life or in the world, that made you want to talk about it? What happened?
This right here. Water the Root Peace Creating Group. This one here, I don't know where
over there.
This is the individual here, and the same phenomenon happens with a group. Lots and lots of people, square root of 1% of a population. So, like I said, for France, 750 to 1,000 do the thing. A group, quadratically more powerful than the same number scattered about. And this is a thing, like my friend Dr. John Hagelin says, if you have two loudspeakers and they're separated, you have one volume, you put the two next to each other and you got the equivalent of 4 loudspeakers. You put 3, you've got suddenly the 9. It's called constructive interference. It's a real thing. A group, close, doing the program, advanced techniques. Day by day. Just like when you want to get electricity to the people, you build a power plant, generate that electricity, and they get it. And you want that power plant to stay. They got their computers running, their TVs running, the whole kitchen's running, and day by day by day, you're generating electricity. Day by day, you're generating dynamic peace. Beautiful thing. Human beings like a light bulb. And we enjoy that light inside, but we also radiate it. We affect our environment. Everybody knows that. You go into a room where there's been a bad argument, the argument's over, but you can feel that thing. You go into a room filled with felicite, bliss, and the power of that is so beautiful to be in. And this group radiates that. Side effect, negativity goes. Enmity and the enemy goes. Without trying. Unified field. Mm-hmm. That's our big, big, big friend.
kind of movements or this kind of meditation with the word sect?
This is the old way of thinking. I don't want to belong to any sect. I'm an artist. I don't want to be part of any kind of sect. It's not a sect. It's a technique that fuels all fantastic things. And I don't want another religion. This isn't a religion. It's a technique that opens the door to the transcendent. And it can be proven now that it does open the door to that. All these misunderstandings, you know, nobody is getting rich. Huge amounts of money are being spent to help humanity. Maharishi has two goals: enlightenment of the individual, peace on earth. Unbelievable. Works 22 hours a day for 50 years now to make this happen. It's absurd to think about it any other way. Absurd. It's just a lack of knowledge.
What are your feelings about Quakerism?
Quakers are beautiful. Mel Brooks once said, "Do you know, David, what the difference between a Quaker and a Shaker is?" And I said, "No, Mel, I don't." He said, "Well, a Quaker will come into a room like this. And a Shaker will come into the room like this." My first wife went to a Quaker school, a friend's school in Philadelphia. Probably the only peaceful place in Philadelphia. Yes.
David, right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one question. I didn't understand the point about transcendence. Because before you were talking about consciousness.
Yes.
And that without consciousness, you were truly saying there is no life. That is true indeed. But on the other hand, you're saying you have to transcend. And as you very well know, following, transcendence is the opposite of consciousness.
No. When you transcend means to go beyond. Okay. We're talking about words. Transcend, in the way I'm talking about it, means to go beyond. You go beyond the thought to pure, no thought consciousness.
Beyond what?
Beyond the field of duality, experience oneness. Beyond thought, pure consciousness. Beyond the field of relative to non-relative absolute. That's what you go beyond.
That's exactly beyond consciousness.
No, it's pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. And you get wet with that, infuse that, and grow that consciousness.
Oh, I got it.
Okay. Bless your heart.
Hi, David.
How you doing?
Good. Just wondered, sort of a general filmmaking question. What drives you to make a film? What makes you go for one particular idea and make a full feature film out of it?
You're going down the street, and girls are passing by. Pretty, nice-looking girls. It's not doing it, though. You round a corner, and boom, there she is. No question about it, and you are in love. This is the thing. That's what drives you. You bet. And this is all the thing tied to peace. It gets to the point where you couldn't hurt another human being. It would be like hurting yourself. This is the way it is supposed to be. It's not the way it is, but it would be so beautiful. But the key is there. This feeling, it just grows, and it's real. It's much more real feeling than our world, which is pretty much an absurd joke when, you know, somebody is blowing children's heads off in the name of peace. It's a sadness. It's the old way. And now there is a new way to real peace. Had nothing to do with killing. And so it's reached a point where you just wouldn't ever think to hurt another human being. And you travel in real peace, you travel and you meet friends, not enemies. The light of unity destroys the enmity in an enemy, destroys negativity. There's no more enemy.
How blessed the forest with bird song. How neat the cart gate laid so long. I felt like a grain on your sun. I felt like a seed on your lawn. I felt like a tide left me
And I want to say one more thing, because it's a nice thing to think about. If you hear of a light bulb that does not remove darkness, you have not heard of a light bulb. If you hear of a peace plan that does not remove negativity, you have not heard of a real peace plan. This removes negativity. Real peace is not just the absence of war, it's the absence of the seeds of war, negativity. You want real peace, enliven this field of unity.
There's an analogy. If the world is like a tree, we see that the tree is not in the greatest shape. The leaves are turning yellow and they're turning brown. The branches are drooping. The tree is not healthy. Up till now, we've been trying. We chase one leaf at a time, try to make it green. Surface cures, surface cures. As soon as maybe we get one leaf green, 6 more leaves behind us are turning yellow. It's a never-ending horror story. They say the experienced gardener doesn't worry about the leaves. Get it from the source, get it to the roots, the deepest level. Bring that nourishment from the deepest level. Unified field, always been there, infinite, eternal. Get it from there, bring it up. Automatically, the whole tree comes up to perfection. It's a never-ending story because a piece on the surface, it doesn't address the seeds of war. All that hate, all that anger, all that sorrow, despair, tension. It's a piece of paper. But underneath you enliven that, the thing changes. The hate goes. The hate lives. A man goes to bed filled with anger, wakes up and wonders where it went. This is a true phenomenon. The technologies exist to enliven this deepest level, and watch what happens.
This wind represents ancient and eternal. This ocean represents the ocean within every human being. And this ocean is an ocean of consciousness. And it is a big ocean. It is unbounded and infinite. And this ocean of consciousness within has qualities. So it is an ocean of infinite intelligence, creativity, happiness, known as bliss, infinite universal love, energy, dynamic peace. When a human being, any human being, dives within and experiences this ocean, swims in this ocean, life gets better and better and better. This is the within that they've always been talking about throughout time. Ladies and gentlemen, change truly begins within.
Cappuccino time.
Wow. It's here?
Yeah.
Wow. That was fast.
Well.
Hey, Patrice. This is a beautiful moment. Come on.
You have cream.
Oh my God. It's heaven.
No, merci. No cream, we said.
Thanks a lot, Patrice.
I hope you enjoyed this documentary. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the very, very best.